I'm Pink. I am a multimedia artist that does things under PinkViruz, which is like my brand name, artist name. And we just do things under like creepy is another word for cute is my tagline. And that's basically what everything revolves around that I do, from sculpture to painting to all that good jazz. I never stopped from when I was a kid. I always wanted to be like art related something. I looked back a couple years ago on some of my like little kid drawings and stuff, and I always said I wanted to be an artist or an art teacher. So it's just kind of a thing that's never stopped. Um, and then anime happened, as it did with a lot of artists, and yeah, it just went from there. I started drawing anime, and it just tumbled into what it is now.
And how did you hear about Mad Collabs?
I was actually at a a vendor event downtown, and Lee came up to me. Well, actually, the first time I was at a vendor event at Spokane Art Supply, and Saranka came up to me and he was like, "I like your stuff. You should go check out Mad." And I was like, "What's that?" And he explained it to me, and I was like, "I should go check that out." And then it completely like didn't cross my mind after that until Lee met up with me at a different vendor event and was like, "You should go to Mad." And then he showed me their social media and was like, "They need help with stuff." And I was like, "I do social media." And then I emailed Morgan, and then now we're here.
So you mentioned that you do social media. How did you get started in that?
I got started in that because I worked at an art gallery in Los Angeles, where I'm from, and I started by being an intern, and then I volunteer, intern, and then administrative assistant. And as the administrative assistant, I did a lot of like the back office work, so like the website, paperwork, all that good jazz. But then with that also came social media, so I just started getting like a liking towards it, making graphics, and then I just like the algorithm. I don't like the algorithm, but I like the science behind the algorithm because it's pretty interesting, I guess, how it's like catered towards people and the way that it works. It's just something that's always intrigued me since I started working on it back at the gallery days.
And I know that you make plushies. So would you describe what kind of stuff you do with those?
So I usually go to thrift stores and I like collecting mid-sized plushies, so like yay big. And I pretty much remove their faces and then remove any decoration on them and re-add decoration to theme. I like doing, and then I make a clay face for them. So what I like doing with this is kind of the dichotomy between creepy and cute, which is what I talked about before. So I make them cuter, but then at the same time I add a creepy face and like add blood and stuff. And then we have my plushies.
So where did the inspiration for the creepy cute thing come from?
It came from a lot of things. It came from, so like I said, I love anime and like all things nerdy and stuff. And then I also love horror. So I was like, how do I put these two things together? You know, and I like what like is called kawaii, which is just cute in Japanese. But it has a very specific aesthetic. Think like Hello Kitty and all of that stuff. So just putting those two things together, I was like, how do I do that? And then that's what all of my work is revolved around. That's how it came to be.
And so what do you work in for, because I know you do paintings, do you work in oils, acrylics, watercolors, any specific media?
I do I do everything except for oil. So I do acrylic, gouache, watercolor, mixed media, clay, sculpture, craft work, like you said, and yeah, I do everything except for oil. That's a whole beast I don't want to deal with.
What's your favorite medium to work with?
Probably polymer clay. I love working with clay. It's just cool taking like a lump of nothing and then making it something. I don't know. That's always fun to me. I like taking time lapse videos sometimes of it because it's cool seeing this like lump become something, and it also kind of relates to my love for stop motion and like claymation. So I grew up watching like a lot of like claymation stuff, and like claymation is also another big inspiration because it has that like creepy cute element where it's like endearing, but it's also like kind of unnerving at the same time. So yeah, that's I would say that's my favorite medium.
So is there anyone currently that you're taking inspiration from?
A certain claymation or
Any type of art?
any type of art. Right now, it's just really whatever comes to me because I finally came up with like a story behind what I do with like the plushies and stuff, and it's like it's related to the pink virus, which is the brand name, like I said. Basically, these things were infected by the pink virus, and that's what makes them look the way they do. So that's kind of the only inspo that I have right now is that little story that I came up with.
That's awesome. So how'd you come up with the story of the pink virus?
So Pink Virus was my nickname in high school because whenever just coincidentally whenever I would walk into the animation classroom, which is where I spend most of my time, she had two big monitors. The teacher had two big monitors up front in the class, and for some reason the HDMI cable always became kind of loose, and the screens would turn pink. And at the time, I also had pink hair, so they would always joke around that I was infecting things with the pink virus because things would just turn pink whenever I like walked around. So I just kind of kept that, and then I like compartmentalized it. And I was like, it came up years later where I was like, that was kind of cute, and so I just adopted it into what it is now.
That's awesome. So do you have like a storyline or overall arc that you're working with?
I'm working on figuring that out. Honestly, I'm thinking like where did this virus come from? Like where did it start? Like what's the cure and stuff like that. But I've only have the fact that it's the pink virus and that's it, which is really funny because apparently they were trying to nickname COVID that when COVID came out. So I'm glad that didn't happen because that would have been awkward. But yeah.
Is there any projects that you're currently working on that you're really happy about?
Yes, I'm working on really refining my bears because at the beginning it was kind of I started during vendor season, so I was just whipping out these bears as fast as I could, and I didn't have any time to like really sit down and like take inspo or like decorate them the way that I really wanted to. And now through going to the art salvage here in Spokane and just having more time to do it, I'm able to make them more elaborate, which is what I want. I want to see how elaborate, like how much I can push the envelope in elaborateness. That's not a word, but you know what I'm saying.
Where did the idea for the bears come from?
Um, I like seeing when artists like take old things and make them different. So like, there's an artist whose name is escaping me right now that takes old toys and like mashes them together. It's an art style, I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember what it's called right now. And that kind of inspired me to do plushies just because I like plushies. I've always had a really large collection of them. So I was like, why not?
Do you have any plans in the next year of things that you want to see to do?
Yes. I have in the works starting a fashion line. So I'm going to start with t shirts and then hopefully that expands to more stuff because I really want to have a clothing line at some point. But for right now, I'll stick with t shirts. So that's the plan for next year.
Where can people find you online?
Pink Virus on Instagram and Pink Virus 00 on Facebook.
And do you have a Patreon or anything?
I do have a Patreon. Patreon is also Pink Virus, if I remember correctly, and on there I do monthly phone background, depending on the tier that you get. Monthly phone background, monthly desktop background, monthly sticker, monthly print, monthly pin, and if you subscribe to the biggest tier, you also get a small plushie a month.